This is Dell's Discretion. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast. I say that kind of arrogantly, don't I? My podcast. Like, who doesn't have one, right? But this is Dell's Discretion. Just a few moments I set aside to vent, rant, laugh, inspire, motivate, aggravate, irritate, whatever you want to call it. My platform, and I love it. I blog, I write. You can visit my website at delldidway.com, and that is spelled DELDUDUIT.com. You find everything there about me. My blogs are there. My portfolio is there. My books, I have a book page, all my books. We have a book launch coming up next month. No, it's in March. I'm sorry, it's in March. Dugout Devotions 2, Inspirational Hits from MLB's Best, Volume 2. And then I can talk about the other ones later on, but it's been a crazy week in politics, so I will not touch on that because I will get irate because I'm seeing our country just disheveled and dismantled right before our eyes. Our freedom is just being blitzkrieged every day, and it's disgusting, and then the hypocrisy is just disgusting. So anyway, I'm going to keep in theme with this weekend, and this weekend is what? The Super Bowl. Excited about that? I really don't have a favorite. I know everybody always says they just want to see a good game. You know, that's kind of a chicken way out, but I really don't have a favorite. I would be happy with either one winning because on the Chiefs side, I love Andy Reid's story of some of the tragedy he's gone through. And then on the Tampa Bay side, what a Cinderella story with Brady coming in and taking him to his 85th Super Bowl, I think, or seems like, or 10th. So I kind of like that story too. Yeah, my literary agent played with Tom Brady at Michigan. That kind of opened up a conversation I had with Tom a couple of years ago when he was in Cincinnati when the Patriots came in to play the Bengals. I got to speak with Tom about that, so it was kind of cool. So kind of rooting for him too. So either way, I'll be happy. It's not like in the past, when I had a certain team I was cheering for. I grew up a Cowboys fan because I was infatuated with the Cowboys and America's team and Roger Staubach and things like that. So always liked them, but you know what? Today I've mellowed out, and when my team doesn't win, you know what? I get up the next day. It doesn't. I know not everybody's like that, but when the Buckeyes lost, you know what? I was able to lay my head down, go to sleep, get up the next day, have my coffee. Life goes on. Some people just can't handle that. So anyway, in keeping with that theme, I want to talk about an interview that I did up in Minnesota. In fact, when the Patriots played Philly won. Great game. It was like -10. I remember walking from the hotel thinking, this is silly. My beard was freezing. I could feel my beard crinkling up because it was -10. Anyway, I had a great interview up there with a lot of athletes that weekend. One of them was Chad Pennington. I ran into Chad on Saturday before the Super Bowl in the hotel. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. Walked up to him and I said, hey, Chad, I introduced myself. I said, I always have an opener. You always have to have an opener. And my opener with Chad was, hey, my son and my daughter-in-law graduated from Marshall. Oh, yeah, great. Because he obviously played at Marshall University here in Huntington, West Virginia, which is about 45 minutes from my house. So that kind of, you have a common ground there. So you talk a little bit about Marshall. And then I told him what I was doing. I said, I write for various publications. I'm writing a book about athletes of faith and would love to talk to you if you have a few minutes. He said, well, sure I do. So we had a little conversation. In fact, I wrote a couple of devotions in my book, First Down Devotions, Inspirations from NFL's Best, from New Hope Publishers and Iron Stream Media. But my focal point, one of the stories I wrote about Chad, was really inspirational to me Because, Chad was a very good quarterback for several years. He was a quiet leader, but he was consistent. Not flashy and things like that. I think it was in 2003, he had the rare distinction of having posted a perfect passer rating for a game in November. I think it was 11 for 14, 219 or 220 yards, 3 touchdowns. But, the team lost to the Colts. But on that day, he was perfect, a perfect passer rating. Twice, he led the NFL in passing completion percentage. And he won the Comeback Player of the Year 2 times. 2 times. That's very rare. But Chad, for years, like most kids and most players, devote most of their life to their craft. Stand out at Marshall. Goes to the NFL. He was always. He told me he was always a person of faith, but there for a long time, his God was football. His life was football. Very good careers. I went over some of his accolades. One year, he actually came in second in voting for the NFL Most Valuable Player. Came in second. Nobody heard about that. Kind of lost out to a guy named Peyton Manning. But he was second. Couple of surgeries and a couple of major injuries. He was benched. Shot of the ego there. He felt betrayed and hurt. The coaches and teams that he devoted his life to, off-season, on-season, turned their backs on him. And he told me the game I loved for so long, I now hated it. I hated going to practice. And he called it his personal furnace because he didn't know how to handle it. He'd always been the star. But, as always, God had a plan. He didn't tell Chad about it at the time, but he had a plan. I remember Chad telling me that he said he felt like he didn't have any value. Nobody wanted him. He had no purpose anymore. And that's a scary place to be. But it's also the place where God needed him to be at that same time. The game was burned out of him. But a new fire, he told me, started burning. And it allowed him to help other players who were going through similar things. When they were tired or they were cut, leaving that lavish lifestyle of the NFL. He became a consultant to help players who go through that to realize they have a purpose. And Chad had that experience. And he had the desire to use his experience to help those players who were struggling. And that was awesome. He says his experience helped him relate and let them know there's something else out there. But he also said that he didn't know it at the time, but God was preparing him. He was patient and he learned. Is there something you need to ask yourself that you're putting in front of God? Does your work take priority? There's times when it has to. I realize that. You have to work. Maybe you have a hobby that's more important than your relationship. Do you go to church on Sundays, Sunday morning, Sunday night, or Wednesday, or do you find a reason not to? Check your emails. Maybe watch a ball game. And you say, it's okay. Is it? Is it okay? You can record the game. Chad went through that valley so God could prepare him to help others who faced a very similar challenge. He came out on top, but he went through a really dark valley to get there. Perhaps you've been laid off I was laid off recently. Maybe you have an illness or something that's happened. One of your family members isn't doing well. Maybe every relationship's gone south. Maybe that's your furnace. We all go through them. There's things you can do to try to get through that fire. Try to set some time aside each day. 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Spend some time with God in the morning or in the evening. You put important dates on your calendar. Hey, I have a Zoom call here at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to meet a friend for coffee. Why not do the same thing? Hey, 7:30 a.m. I'm going to have a devotion. I'm going to read a chapter and spend time with God. Put him on your calendar. Try to do that every day. Stay in the Word as much as possible. Again, that sounds kind of Bible thumperish, but read the Word every day. Try to read a chapter. I try to read a chapter a day. If it's a long one, I break it up. A couple of verses. Meditate on it. See, what's this mean? So what's he trying to tell me here? And study it. Hey, something you can do is get involved in something, a ministry. I have my writing ministry. I consider that a ministry. Get involved in a charity event. Stick with it. Don't just be a one-timer. Find something. Challenges you. Find something that tugs at your heart and gives you a reason to help somebody. Try to rely on a partner. If you have a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe just a good buddy to go through it together. Because we all know one day life can be great and you're achieving those perfect passer ratings and you're comeback player of the year and you're leading your team to the playoffs. Then the next day you could get benched. You get let down. Good job loss can do that, or sickness. Be prepared. Do these things I just mentioned earlier now. Do them now. Don't wait till you're down in the dumps. Prepare yourself. That'll prepare you. It's not going, just because you believe in God and you live a life doesn't mean you're not going to have problems or obstacles. It's just a way to prepare you to deal with those obstacles. And turn the hate over to God before it has a chance to take you out with a blitz. Because that can leave you feeling mighty low. I loved my conversation with Chad Pennington that Saturday morning in Minnesota. We talked about some other things too, but that was just one of them. So I wanted to stick with the Super Bowl style theme and tell you a story that I was told at the Super Bowl. It's also in my book, First Down Devotions. A cheesy promotion, I guess. But there's a couple of dozen stories like that in that book. And First Down Devotions 2 will be out in August. Interviews with, Case Keenum, with Tim Tebow, Mika Fitzpatrick and Ben Roethlisberger and Andy Dalton and Kurt Warner and on and on and on it goes. It's an NFL all-star lineup, Anthony Munoz. I had a fun time writing those books and researching those books. And they're meant to inspire. Not a lot of people know about Chad's story like that. He felt worthless, even though he was making a lot of money. He felt useless and betrayed. And I think we've all felt that way before. But I love the way he dealt with it. He used his experience to help others, and you can too. Thank you for joining me on Dell's Discretion. I hope you enjoy the game. And I hope you make a difference in somebody's life, a positive difference and a positive impact. And tell your friends about Dell's Discretion.